subscribe, like this video, make sure you put your prayer requests in the button. Would have got on earlier, but we have no internet. It just came back on, so I think it's due to the storm. We're covered in snow here, and it is blistering cold. I'm even letting the water run. That's how cold it is. All right, I wanted to remind everybody, we put Cash App, also Venmo, they're in the description box now. I cleaned that up. If you go into the description box, now you'll see all that stuff labeled. It's a lot easier to find, so there's more ways if you want to help us with feeding everybody. We found out tonight that SNAP is still put on hold here and other places. CNN covered it first, but I didn't understand it. But now I had a bunch of people message me and they said that they called today and said it could be froze up to 2 weeks. So we're not done. And like I said, we're already still having people. I'm going tomorrow to try to get it to where we can feed people on Thanksgiving if we're still here, because we have such a mass of people asking us what we're going to do for Thanksgiving already here. So they don't know where they're going to get their food. So it's that bad. Just pray for us is all I can say. And pray for everybody, because everybody's hurting, and I know this. We're already trying to help as many families, not just here, in multiple states that are really having a hard time right now. It's bad across the board. Now tonight I found out Bubba News did some research. And let me tell you something, he did some good stuff tonight. We're going to discuss what he thinks about Venezuela, because I think he's onto something. So let's get into this. We're going to go around the board for the Middle East on. I'm going to keep it short. All right, this is pretty big news for Israel. Israel moves signals a hardline shift in counter-terror policy. They're going to bring in the death penalty. But introducing the death penalty could escalate tensions while aiming to deter future attacks. This will be interesting. So they're trying to shift to this right now as we speak. What the law basically says, it's that Hamas members who came into Israel on October 7th and done what they did will not be treated as prisoners of war once this fully passes. So that's interesting. Let me get my glasses. And I do have cards and people to thank for Bibles and stuff. We'll do that tomorrow. I couldn't really do it until I had glasses, and I forgot about the last 2 days, because I just cannot read print without my glasses. Didn't have any. All right, so the Hamas terrorists in the Israel prisons could get the death penalty. They are terrorists who killed civilians. Sparing them is spitting in the face of victims. Once the terrorists receive the death penalty, it means the motivation to kidnap Jews will decrease, which makes this a very important law. Israel is doing everything possible to discourage murderous terrorism. Now, it didn't take long for Ben-Gvir to happily dispute after the approval of the death penalty for terrorist bill that passed in the first reading. The bill that passed today was spearheaded by the National Security Minister, Ben-Gvir. So he felt like celebrating, no doubt. After the vote, Ben-Gvir celebrated inside the Knesset forum, handing out this baklava sweets to fellow lawmakers. The Knesset session descended into chaos once he did this. Now, if you don't know who Ben-Gvir is, he is a very controversial guy. I like the guy. He is the one that's really fighting for them to get their Temple Mount back, and people hate him for it. All right, let's see. Hamas is rebuilding its finances. So for Trump to keep threatening them, say we're going to get rid of them and do all this stuff, they're slowly building back things at this moment. Many of the fighters from Hamas have begun to receive partial salaries after many months without pay. It comes after reports that Hamas was on the brink of bankruptcy. It appears, though, that the group's enforcers are collecting huge sums from the tent tax. Get that. Taking up $900 from displaced families who have their tents. So remember, they gave them tents and everything to get the settlers back into most of Gaza. Well, they're literally charging these people $900 for those tents. You can't make this stuff up. People, oh, save Palestine, help Hamas. Right there's what you get. Alarmed by Hezbollah rearming, Israel presses Beirut to act before the IDF. Right now, on the border, their northern border, it's right back to where it was. We just had the Syrian president here. We find out tonight that they're reopening the Syrian embassy here in Washington. I can't believe they even had that guy in the White House, how many people that guy has killed over the years. It blows my mind. I don't even want to talk about it. Under the year-old deal brokered by the U.S. and France, Hezbollah was to be relieved of its arms and prevented from rebuilding its fighting forces. But now we know that Iran is now rearming all their proxies. The IDF has stepped up its airstrikes against Hezbollah in recent weeks. A senior IDF official told Channel 12 News last week that the strikes were just a preview. So we're also finding out right now Iran's rearmed. Remember we told you Russia and them, China was rushing weapons in there after the 12-day war? Now you know why they was doing it. And that's also what's happening in Venezuela right now. It's the same thing. They're rearming these people big time. Israel is expanding its control into southern Lebanon, constructing a new fence past the blue line with the Lebanese territory near the Avarian settlement, supplementing, in addition, the existing border barrier of Hezbollah hotspots. The new fence is on the blue line, which can be seen in the picture itself. The old fence was not built on the blue line. So, walls going up, proxies getting all their arms back. Now we know that Iran has 2,000 missiles that are aiming at Israel right now as we speak. And they're saying, because they seem to know something about America and Israel getting ready to do something. Now, I think the reason why is because now you're starting to see in the last 24 to 48 hours, we're starting to tell everybody that they have enough uranium to build 12 nuclear bombs. Well, I thought we took care of all that. We told you they didn't. That was all bluster. We told you they didn't take out half their stuff. Their stuff still remained, but they said, oh no, we wiped it all out. We won. And I knew then they lied. And once again, they're proving with this now coming out again that they lied about the whole thing. Now, they bombed the sites, but they didn't take them out. These sites was well underground. All they had to do is go dig them back out. But the press said, if you say that, you're not a patriot. So you need to lie to be a patriot. No wonder Donald Trump is talking about $2 per gallon gas prices coming soon. Now, this right here. Right here, people. Listen to this. The expected U.S. military strike on Venezuela would radically reshape the global economy. I didn't realize it would do so much, but listen to this. If the U.S. president really pulls the trigger, one thing is certain, the impact of the global economy would be seismic. Now, here's why. Listen to this. Venezuela holds the world's largest oil reserves, but they don't export. They almost export. They pretty much export, but they don't export almost. They don't export almost nothing like anybody else does. So they're still sitting on all that oil. Here's where it gets interesting. Devastating the economies of, get this, here we go, of Russia and possibly even Saudi Arabia. So if they seize those oil wells, we would control the oil market. That's why they're all down there, every bit of it. And remember I told you they're going after everybody that's associated with Russia to put Russia under. The sanctions is hurting Russia, but this right here would cripple Russia beyond belief. Russia's never going to allow this to happen. That's why they're rushing equipment in there. This is another reason why God showed us that Russia and America thing that's going to happen in the future. That will play a role. And when I saw that, I knew that that's what it was. That's literally half the price of tonight's oil futures. So the oil futures tonight was 59.93. Prices lower, take over a country and the socialist ruler and turn the tide on the world. The Venezuela thing looks like it might go down soon. So here we go with this. So they got a map here of everything we've sent down there. And it's like, it's World War II that they've sent down there. Between the bombers, the air assets, the amphibious landing ships, Marines, there's over 20,000 there now. Tomahawk strike packages. There's, I can't see us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is 2 subs down there that can really wipe out the whole Caribbean. And the rest of them are missile destroyers with Tomahawk missiles. And I mean, there is a lot, people. And there's additional assets down there also that we don't know. They've got the strike group coming in from the Gerald R. Ford. I'm telling you, they're going after the oil fields. And when they seize those and they add that oil back into the market, which Venezuela is not exporting, this would cripple Russia beyond anything. And that, my friends, Russia will never allow. Then, I mean, because constantly, remember, we're poking the bear, poking the bear, poking the bear. That would bring the bear out of hibernation. So they passed the CR reopened. We talked about that. But the thing is, like I said, most of SNAP is still frozen across the board. There's a lot of people, they're saying it might be 2 to 3 weeks. It might be even after Thanksgiving that their SNAP is released. So these are coming from the government officials. These people are calling the government and they're telling them it could be up to 3 weeks being froze. Why that is, I don't know. I don't know, brothers and sisters. I don't know. All right, ground stop at LaGuardia Airport tonight. So this right here shouldn't have happened either. The Federal Aviation Administration has issued a ground stop to all aircraft in LaGuardia Airport in New York City. This is becoming a routine problem with overstaffing issues. Well, if they restarted everything, this shouldn't be an issue. So I'm just wondering what's happening here. There might be a lot more to it. We're going to keep an eye on it, see if it seems maybe this is just a backlog of everything before everything gets turned back on. We're going to have to keep our eyes on it because there's something here stinks to high heavens. All right, let's see. We talked about Iran ramping up missile production, but it looks like right now they've got 2,000 missiles. They've got them things unburied, so they brought them out of those tunnels, and they're all pointing at Israel. And you can see from what our military can detect through satellite, they're all pointing at Israel. 2,000 of them to go off at any time, and Israel's got that in the back of their mind. There's 2,000 missiles pointed at us through Iran, and a lot of these are Chinese and Russian ballistic missiles. These are not Iran's. So you see the world moving against Israel. China is working against Israel big time. Russia is working against Israel. All these countries are working against them, including our own. We were supposed to go ahead and clear out Hamas, but now Hamas is not charging rent for tents at $900 per family. This is all happening with our government knowing about it. That's how close we are, people. There is so much corruption all across the board, everything we're looking at. But this Venezuela thing is now starting to shape up to where we see something happening here and we see what their end goal is. And this is huge, very huge. Because it looks like that's what they're going to go in. They're going to seize those oil fields, flood the market, and put Russia completely under. This is 100% what is going to set that thing off completely. That what God was warning us would take place in the future, along with everything we're doing with Ukraine and all these other things to help them go against Russia. Everything we're seeing from the European Union, pushing and pushing and pushing to try to completely shut down their fleet of oil tankers up there in the Baltics. You're seeing a major push against Russia and all that's going out of Russia, and that's how they make their money, is through their oil companies. They're using Ukraine to take out most of their oil refinery ways that they create and refine the oil. Ukraine's been doing that. That's why we've been funding them weapons to take that out. So you see across the board where this war is. It's between the United States, Russia, and China. While they're disguising it as everything else, they're going also into these other countries that can't defend themselves to try to take their natural resources. That's also what's happening in Africa with Nigeria and all that, because if we was just there to protect the Christians, why do we just let a guy into the White House that's killed numerous of them? So none of this makes any sense, because that's not what they're after. The world is fighting over natural resources just like it did in World War II. That's how close we are, people. Pay attention. Keep your head on a swivel, because this is in the making right now. This is what they're doing. When you see all these countries buying for natural resources, you know what you're looking at. And the economies of the world or shattering. This is exactly what happened in World War II. Exactly. We just come out of the Depression. The world went to war. And that's exactly what's happening right now. The world's economies are on shaky ground. They're falling. Banks are having to be funded money overnight. When you start to see all these things, you know where you're at. And let me tell you something. This war that God warned us about that's coming will not be fought like the other ones. It will be horrific. So let me tell you something. Keep your eyes on Jesus. I know there's going to be a lot of people tell you, oh, it's not coming. Jesus ain't coming, but he is. That's his word. And Jesus don't lie. These people lie. He don't. Okay? Trust the gospel. 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4. Jesus died on the cross for our sins, past, present, and future. He died, was buried, rose again on the third day, according to the scriptures. Trust in Jesus and Jesus alone. Confirm everything through him. I'll keep an eye on all this stuff and how this is developing, but keep your eyes on Jesus, people, because literally it could fire off at any time. Literally, it could fire off at any time. We're very close to being home, people. Hang in there. We're still helping people, and we're going to still keep doing that. If you want to help us do that, everything's in the description box to where how you can. Because like I said, we're feeding families and multitude right now. We have food pantries calling us constantly, trying to get our help to be able to restock their food pantries, diapers, and stuff like that. It's a mess across the board with everything. And we all know what it's like to go shopping at the grocery store, okay, because you can't afford the groceries. And everything just mounts up on these families. So, like I said, keep us on your prayers. We got to work as a family. And we'll do the best job we can until we're out of here. We'll just keep building towards the kingdom, putting Bibles out, doing whatever we got to do. We're going to keep doing it to try to help our brothers and sisters. Because if we don't help each other and help those who can't help each other, they're not going to get it anywhere else. And you know that as well as I do. I love each and every one of you. If I don't see or hear from you again, I'll see you at home.